Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the group Alangkah Suka will be presenting on the glory of Myanmar.
Now let's start with the first building. The first building is Nan Paya Temple. Nan Paya Temple is located on the southern outskirts of Miankaba village, Bagan. It was built in the 11th century during the reign of the founder of Bagan Empire, King Anawarta. The temple was built by Prince Nagataman, King Manohar's grandnephew, as a temple for religious purposes. But somehow, other stories claim the temple was used as his residence. Nowadays, it is just one of the tourist hotspots in Pagan because of its title as the first freestanding cave-type temple in Pagan. For the architectural principle, the temple was built using stone instead of brick with stone and has bas relief carving with interlocking blocks. During the building of this temple, brick base was used to provide support. The temple has a longitudinal plan and comprises a square sanctum to the rear and a rectangular entrance hall projecting to the east. From the entrance to the sanctum, one has to go through a brief hallway on the west wall vaulted with barrels. In the sanctum, the central portion has four substantial piers that support an interlocking arch roof that is joined to the outside walls by half-barrel vaults. Let's move on to the elements. The first one is a sikara. Sikara is like a crown to the temple. A squat sikara is perched atop the roof of the temple, and there is a lot of Hindu bas relief carving in the temple's interior and exterior. The next one is Dudu frieze. Continuous Dudu frieze relief comprising Hamsa, geese associated with Brahma, inside swirls of foliage runs along the base of the walls of the temple. The next one is the Brahma carving. The deity Brahma with four heads on each of the inward-facing faces of the piers, three are actually shown in the picture, but the fourth is understood to be hidden behind the others, are carved on four substantial piers that support an interlocking arch roof that is joined to the outside walls by half-barrel vaults. The next element is Kirtimukha carving, a relief carving of Kirtimukha faces framed by V-shaped motifs surrounded by vegetation can be seen on the pilasters of each corner of the temple. And the last one is the windows of the temple. The windows are adorned with arches that stand above kalasa pots, an Indian pattern that denotes luxuriance and fertility. The ends of each arch are decorated with makara, a legendary crocodile-like creature. Now let's move on to the second building, Hasinbyume Pagoda. This temple is unique among the magnificent stupas and exquisite temples that are found in Myanmar. This pagoda itself is a striking sight, consisting of 7 overlapping terraces made by wave-like constructions. Similar to India's Taj Mahal, the pagoda becomes a genuine representation of love and devotion when referring to the historical background. For the history, in 1816, the Sinbyume Pagoda was built by Prince Bagidao to commemorate Princess Sinbyume, his late wife who had passed away during childbirth. It is also known as Mya Tan Pagoda due to 100,000 emeralds being used to fund the construction. In 1838, unfortunately, this unique white pagoda was heavily damaged by an earthquake in 1838, then covered in vegetation and was being abandoned. In 1874, it was cleared and the innermost circular temple entirely rebuilt during the reign of King Mindon. For the architectural elements, the first one is the wall. A modest circular wall with a wavy parapet on top of each one symbolizes the 7 rivers that divide each of these geographical masses. The outermost compound wall can represent the iron wall or Chakavala, Pali, that encloses this universe. For the philosophy, this pagoda actually replicates Mount Meru, which according to Buddhist mythology is the center of the universe. The pagoda portrays Mountain Meru rising in the middle of 7 concentric mountains. The next one is the niche. The niches hold marble figures representing guardians that Saka appointed to protect Mountain Meru against demons and asuras.
third building is Bogyoke Aung San Market. This market is formerly known as Scott Market. It is a prominent bazaar that can be found in the Babeden Township in Yangon, Myanmar. This market is known for its precious colonial architecture influence, beautified with cobblestone pathways, and attracts a lively mix of tourists and locals. Historically, Bogyoke Aung San Market is another municipal market after the first and second market was built in Bota Tau after British colonization in 1852 and 1876, but the market was not a success since there were many rivals during that time. The establishment of this market was a success, where everyone would recommend this market since it is too famous for its wide range of products as well as its unique features. Due to jetty construction, the building was later then being replaced to accommodation road, and it was built by a famous contractor named A.C. Martin and Co. The name of Bogyoke Aung San is in honor for the independence hero, which is General Aung San. Next, as for the architectural aspect, the design style that has been adapted to this market is European colonial architecture style. This building was adapting the colonial style because it was constructed during the rule of British in 1920s in order to provide a centralized complex for local and foreign trade operations. The design of the Bogyoke market suits the area since it does have the same type of design as the other historical buildings near the area. As for the design principles, the first one is symmetrical balance. As you can see, the adaptation of the principle of balance in the floor plan as well as the facade enhancing the simplicity and uniqueness of the colonial architecture. Next one, hierarchy. The dome in the middle of the market indicates the main entrance where different articulation has been applied. Next one, repetition. Rapid use of the arches as the facade of the market shows the harmony in the design where it is visually uniting each part of the building colonial architecture. Next one is the architectural elements. Firstly, tiered roof. The building has a double tiered roof where small windows are placed in between in order for the hot air to flow and to maintain a comfortable temperature inside the building. Next one is the dome. The dome is placed at the center of the facade of the building, indicating the main entrance and touch of the colonial architecture. And lastly is the arches. The arches can be seen as one of the prominent features for the building, where it beautifies the facade of the market.
Now let's move on to the next building. The Shuenandao Monastery. The monastery was originally part of the royal palace in Amarapura. The structure was demolished, transported to Mandalay, and rebuilt there as part of the new all-teak royal palace in 1857, when the capital was transferred there. The structure served as King Mindon's private residence. The monastery was removed by King Tibau on October 10th in 1878, as it was believed to be haunted by his father's spirit after his father, King Mindon Min, died. However, the building underwent reconstruction and was finished on 31st of October in 1880 and was converted into a monastery. Now let's move on to the architectural principles. A grid organization established by the monastery can be seen from the ground floor plan. The interior columns are uniformly distributed through all spaces inside the building. Other than that, there are 5 total entrances of the building that can be accessed from the built and decorated concrete staircases outside. Located in the center of the interior of the building is the main prayer hall, which is the most decorated space inside the building with gold ornamentations. For the elements, the first one is the teak carving. The monastery is renowned for the Buddhist stories that is shown in the teak carvings that adorn its walls and ceilings of the outside and inside of the temple. For the roof, the building follows Burmese architecture, which the roof structure being the biggest at the bottommost layer with a smaller roof towards the topmost layer. For the decoration, the structure was richly decorated with mosaic glass work and heavy gold gliding in the interior. Moving on to the next building, the St. Paul High School. The high school is commonly known as a Basic Education High School number 6, Butatuang. It's one of the oldest schools in Myanmar and is located in Butataung, Yangon, Myanmar. St. Paul High School was founded by the De La Salle brothers, a Roman Catholic order, in August 1860, 8 years after the British had been conquered. It was built in the modest wood structure near the bishop's residence on BAAR Street, now known as Mahabandula Park Street. The school was relocated from the Yangon City Hall in 1886 to the corner of Anawarta Road and Tainbu Road in order to accommodate more students. It is also located on the north side of the Secretariat building in Botatau Township. For the architecture, St. Paul High School in Yangon, Myanmar was an example of British colonial architecture. The symmetrical placement of doors and windows, as well as the placement of pilasters or columns around the door and specific shutters around the window, are defining characteristics of British colonial architecture. St. Paul High School is aligned in a U-shaped orientation plan with red brick outlay and arches lining the verandas that exemplify the British colonial architectural style. Domes were also placed on the edge of the corner building. For the design principles, symmetrical. This principle can be found throughout the placement of doors and windows of the building that are symmetrically aligned. Repetition can also be seen by how the windows and doors and other elements of the building were all identically designed. For the hierarchy, the pediment in the center of the building emphasizes the architectural hierarchy.
57, King Min Donmin founded Mandalay and ordered the construction of a new royal palace, which is called Mianan Sankiao. The old royal palace from Amarapura's former capital was demolished, and then it has been relocated to Mandalay and then rebuilt there. The construction was officially completed in 1859. It was a royal palace up until 1885, but British colonists drove the royal families out after that. The government of Myanmar is the building's present owner. It is also said that the royal palace of Burma was regarded as the symbolic center of the cosmological island of the Mount Meru. As for the architectural perspective, this is site plan. In Yaranapon period, the palace buildings are strongly developed along the east-west axis. The building's layout is composed of Eastern Royal Zone, Western Royal Zone, and apartments of Queens and Princesses Zone. The Mandalay Palace was influenced by the local surroundings, which used Burmese vernacular architecture as its architectural styles. It also was regarded as the symbolic center of the cosmological island of Mount Meru. The dominant color of this palace is red, gold, and white. Move on to style and design. The first style and design is balance. As you can see, this palace applied the principle of balance from the side plan, also the facade. Next, the proportion. Next, emphasis. Unity. Unity with dominance at the palace facet. Lastly, view and movement. Next is the Strand Hotel. When the Strand Hotel first opened for business in 1901 during the height of the colonial era, it quickly gained recognition as the finest hostelry east of Suez on a global scale. It was envisioned by the renowned hoteliers, the Starkist brothers, who turned their attention to Myanmar in 1892 and chose Yangon as the ideal location for the newest addition to their luxury hotel portfolio, which at the time also included the Raffles in Singapore and the Eastern and Oriental Hotel in Penang. As for the architectural perspective, the Strand Hotel has 3 floors which are divided between public areas and guest rooms. Only the public amenities offered by the hotel, such as the Starkist Restaurant, Cafe, the Starkist Bar, the Management Office, the souvenir shop, the lobby, the gym, and the spa, are located on the ground floor. The hotel room is on top 2 levels alone. The level separation serves to protect the guests' privacy. This hotel has a Victorian-style architecture, as is clearly visible in the building facade. The building has lavish decorations throughout and gave it the illusion of contemporary colonial architecture. The building's layout demonstrates the design principle of symmetry, in which the left and right sides are mirror images of one another. This highlights the design's principle of balance. As, as for the exterior, while the hotel still radiates an air of elegance today, the rich ornamentation visible on its facade in older photographs has long since been removed. The grid structure has been disassembled and windows have been combined. Only just 3 stories, the hotel's modest size emphasizes its exclusivity. The area outside the hotel where a sidewalk should be is entirely occupied by a big portico. Although a few pedestrians do cross through, hotel personnel appear to keep the way clear for taxis. The increased traffic is causing more noise and exhaust pollution just outside the hotel, which is maybe another attempt to maintain the property's upscale ambience amid a chaotic metropolis. As for the interior, the hotel's interior is organized around a huge atria. Over the years, the grand lobby has retained its grandeur. The large and magnificent chandeliers and high ceiling fans provided the appearance of contemporary colonial architecture. To the left of the main entrance is the hotel restaurant, a bright open area with large windows, mirrors, rattan furniture, and white walls. The Strand Bar, with its dark wood paneling, large columns, and large leather seating, lies to the right of the entry. There is a vast lavish dining hall with a skylight at the far end of the atrium. Along Singkata Street, to the right is a passageway that leads to the office, to the gift shop, and hotel office. The art gallery, which features works by regional artists, is located near at the end of the corridor. With furnishings made of Burmese teak, the 31 rooms are simply but attractively designed. On each of the 2 accommodation floors, a butler is positioned and available at all times. The suite had the thick wood floors, high ceilings, and ceiling-high windows that one would expect in a colonial-style mansion, and it was wonderful. As for the overall summary of the research and data collected of each heritage building, unique architecture elements can be analyzed and compared between each building typologies. Even though the buildings are not at all the same time, some features and decoration, including structures and building forms of certain buildings typologies, are similar due to contextual influences. Certain buildings that are selected also show an emphasis on wall carvings, which show how the influences of the religion matters can be transferred into the architectural elements and features on the building itself. This shows the great attention to the detail of Burmese in building their monasteries and temples, which give great details on the ornaments. Next, for the comparative study. Firstly, Nan-Paya Temple, which applies the Burmese architecture. The next one, St. Bume Pagoda, Buddhist architecture. Mandalay Palace, Burmese architecture. St. Paul High School, colonial architecture. Chunandao Monastery, Burmese architecture. The Strand Hotel, Victorian architecture. Bogyo Kesan Market, colonial architecture. As you can see, most of these buildings influence from the Burmese architecture and also colonial architecture, since Myanmar has been colonized by the British. That's all from us. Thank you and Assalamualaikum.